$600 and something.
Really? I thought it would have been more than that. Of course, it's not as big as we usually have.
And the 1,000 and something for the budget.
And they messed that up. They should give us a discount.
They messed it up big time. They had it all just. She said, when I talked to her, she said, "Didn't you have that in 3 different?"
Y'all turn on you. Y'all turn on you. Oh my.
We ready?
Yeah. Good evening. We'd like to call the Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting for June 7th, 2016 at 6 p.m. to order. Second item is for roll call. We'll call on Deputy Clerk Ms. Susan Mabry.
Chairman Marty Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Trent North.
Here.
Commissioner Vicki Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Tommy Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Michelle Morgan.
Here.
Commissioner Kevin Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner George Chambers.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Items 3 and 4, we're going to call on Commissioner Trent North for the invocation, followed by Commissioner Morgan, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
Please join me as we go to the throne. Most precious and all-wise Father, we come just to give you the honor, the praise, and the glory. Father, as always, we thank you for the men and women that are up here. It is our prayer that they see all the discipleship that has been instilled within us and not us. Father, as always, we continue to pray for the men and women who fight for democracy abroad as well as at home. These prayers we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner North and Commissioner Morgan. Next item is item 5, approval of tonight's agenda. Look for a motion from the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. At this time, look for a motion for approval of the minutes from the work session minutes of April 27th, 2016, and the commission meeting minutes
So
from
moved.
May 3rd.
Haven't not been here, so second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. At this time, we'll move down to item number 7, which is public comments. We will let everybody know there was a sign-up form in the back of the room. If you missed it, we'll call on it for public comments. We'll take the comments in the order they were registered. Remarks of each speaker may be up to 3 minutes long. The purpose of public comments is to allow the public to be able to voice related requests, concerns, or opinions. We welcome and appreciate the opportunity to be able to hear those comments. Please be advised that most issues require some type of research. If we can appoint somebody to see you during or after, whether it's legal with the county attorney or whatever, we'll appoint somebody with you. If not, the board will not make recommendations or comment on tonight, but each one will be allowed 3 minutes. With that being said, first one to have signed up is Mr. Jerry Culver.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak to you. I just wanted to kind of give you an update of where we were at with our winery operation that's going on out on North Hewlett Road. Last weekend, we finished our 1 year in operation, and I just want to let you know that everything's been a good success, and that I'm very appreciative of all the work that you guys have done to help us make that happen. A new ordinance and things like that was, instrumental in making it happen. And just to give you a little update on what has happened in the last year, the very first day we opened, we had 300 folks show up. And since that time, we've had almost 5,000 visitors to our winery from around the country and out of the country as well. Now, they didn't come specifically to see our winery. They just happened to be visiting and heard of us and wanted to come see what was going on. And basically, during all this time, this past year, and the 5,000 folks that came, we had no problems whatsoever, no rowdiness, no drunken drinking or anything like that, and basically no problem whatsoever. Everybody was pleasant to deal with, and it was extremely enjoyable for me and my wife, Sherry, who's been a tremendous help to me. And I just want to urge you guys to understand that wineries in the county can be of extreme importance to the county. They can be a tremendous a source of revenue for the county. One thing that I realize is that most of the people who come there spend money and leave and go someplace else and don't necessarily live here. But there are quite a number as well who live in the area and come to visit because of that. And because the wineries create such an economic impact in the areas where they are, I would like to urge you guys to consider the putting on the ballot in November a bill or whatever you call it to allow Sunday sales. And we do that simply because a lot of our customers have asked for that. And it's something that I think it's time for in the county. And I would just like to see every person in the county have an opportunity to voice their opinion about that particular issue. Of course, I'm in favor of it, and I would like to urge you guys to support that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colfer.
Oh, I have also provided some economic impact studies that I got off the internet. I know, Mr. Smith, I gave you some a few weeks ago, and they're pretty interesting, especially the Missouri one. And I might say that Missouri is very similar to Georgia in that when they started out, they have basically the same amount of wineries in their state as Georgia has right now. And if you look at the numbers, you'll see that they're pretty impressive about what kind of revenue and income they can generate for the state and the counties that they're in. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next is Doug Mabry.
Let's do a little bit of follow-up from a broader perspective on the same subject as Sunday sales. As Executive Director of the Vineyard Winery Association, kind of speak for the whole group as a whole. Started this about 8 years ago, and had people in the county literally have already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in planting grapes. And Jerry's kind of been the flagship thing, but for the overall group, it's really all excitement. More and more people are planting, and it gives a small farmer a chance to do an agriculture venture. You don't have to have 100 acres like you would for cattle or something. You can have small acreage and really still get involved and have an agriculture product. But it's just that I wanted to come to you and talk about that. I've visited with a lot of wineries in North Georgia, and they say they get, on average, they get 30% of their business on Sunday afternoon. And so basically, we're kind of putting our local people at disadvantage being closed for 1/3 of their prime business time. So it's kind of every little county in North Georgia's gone with that, where they could further economic development from a Sunday sales. And so it just kind of wanted to, I thought, well, put it to vote by the people and see what they say, because we've had so much positive response from the Agriculture Department, University of Georgia, and everything. University of Georgia and the Gary Black Agriculture Commissioner are real excited about all this stuff, because our association started, we now got 200 members in 50 counties in 6 states. They've all really got excited about the huge economic impact of this. So kind of want to just, on behalf of all our growers and people, and there's going to be some more wineries opening, just to get economic impact in here, just kind of encourages Sunday sales. So like I said, it really puts a handicap on a business just because they happen to be located in the county and not one of the cities. So, thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Doug, thank you very much. And that's all for the sign-up sheet. Next item is we'll be moving in Section 8 under the financial session. We'll do 8.1, a financial recap for April 2016. We'll call on Controller Don Johnson.
Yes, Chairman and Board of Commissioners, you have the April 2016 financial recap. Our total revenues are $40,536,041, which represents 81.5% of our total budget. Our total internal fund transfers are $1,415,517. Our total expenditures, $39,105,874, which represents 78.6% of our budget. Our total internal fund expenses, $1,565,958. Our monthly, our health insurance budget, it was sitting at $6,659,034. We have spent $6,534,159. We have a surplus of $124,876. And at the end of April 2016, we had $11,141,914 in cash reserves.
We'll look for any questions for Don at this time.
I have one question. Don, I know that this one may be difficult to calculate because a lot of expenditure comes in the month of June. And I know that you won't be able to finalize the budget until July, when all the bills have come in and you've done a tally. But based upon what you have to date, because on item 8.2, we're going to be looking at moving 125 from contingency. So from my perspective, when I leave this meeting, we won't have to move any funds from our reserves. Do you anticipate at the end of all the tallying that we're going to have enough revenue to cover all of the expenditure in this fiscal year?
That will determine, we will have to go all the way through September when the auditors get in. We won't know that until January, until they make this all has depended upon theirs from outside sources such as workers' comp. When they come in and say what our liability will be for next year, where our health insurance liability will be next year, that will determine just those line items right now, because we do a entry throughout the year for what the budget works with health insurance. But then we have an amount that's set aside at the end of the year for that liability. If we have more there than what our liability is, then I will reduce expenditures, because we will have a surplus which will reduce the amount. I mean, let's put it this way. If we have $1 million sitting in that liability and all we owe is $670,000, that's all that's got to be booked. So I got to take that back, $400,000 back out of expenses, because that will not be expensed.
I got you.
Same way with workers' comp. Last year we had a liability, $470,000 that had to be booked. That's on the books. This year, if that drops down to $350,000, that again will be dropped, which will help. It'll lower expenditures.
Okay.
So we could be right on it. We could be over a little bit. Could be less. I mean,
Thank you.
Any other questions for Don? Seeing none, we'll go to item under financial 8.2. We'll call on Don Controller for the budget amendment for year 16.
yes, Chairman and Board of Commissioners, I would like to ask the board's approval of the advertised budget amendment that was published in the Times-Georgian on May 17, 2016. This amendment will take county reimbursements, which were approved by the county commissioners, and increase revenues and appropriations for the current fiscal year in the amount of $676,152. Next, this amendment will transfer $125,000 from the county's contingency expense line item to various department budget expense line items as presented to the Carroll County Board of Commissioners at the April 27, 2016 work session. Next, this amendment will transfer funds within department expense line items to offset increased budget line item expenses for the current fiscal year. Next, this budget amendment will increase the revenues and appropriations for the Western Area Regional Radio System by $3,449,600. And finally, this amendment will establish the revenues and appropriations for the 2008 Debt Service Fund at $1,905. And a copy of the advertised budget amendment is attached for your consideration.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none for the board, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda under financial is the budget resolution for fiscal year 2017. We'll call on Don Johnson again.
Yes, Chairman and Board of Commissioners, this is the resolution and ordinance providing for the appropriations and expenditure of funds for the government of Carroll County, Georgia for the county fiscal year 2017, beginning July 1st, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2017, providing for the operations of the county departments, boards, agencies, elected offices, and other governmental activities, provide for the level of personnel authorized for the various departments and agencies, to provide for capital improvements as budgeted for the county, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes. And it says, whereas the chairman has submitted to the Board of Commissioners a revenue estimate for the following year and a proposed budget that will govern expenditures of all funds expected to be available to the county for the following year, including expenditures relating to capital outlays and public work projects. And whereas the chairman has caused to be published a copy of the proposed budget along with all required public notices, and whereas the governing authority held a public hearing on May 31st, 2016 at 10 a.m., and whereas the chairman has set forth and presented in his proposed budget and recommendations to the Board of Commissioners his recommendations for positions and departments. Now therefore be it resolved and ordained by the Board of Commissioners of Carroll County, Georgia as follows. Section 1, pursuant to OCGA 36-81-1, sequent as amended, the sums of money summarized in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part of this resolution ordinance shall be and are hereby adopted by the Board of Commissioners as the operating budget and capital budget for the government of Carroll County, Georgia for the fiscal year 2017, beginning on July 1st, 2016 and ending on June 30th, 2017. The appropriations of all funds for all departments and agencies shall be as set forth in Exhibit A. Section 3, the funds provided and contracts made herein for the procurement of supplies, material, and services for all departments and agencies shall be expended in accordance with the budget, its attachments, and purchasing policies and procedures established by the county. Section 4, the financial transactions of all the county departments and agencies authorized to expend county funds shall be recorded and maintained in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles and standards. Section 5, in accordance with the Georgia Code Section 33-8-8, the proceeds from the tax on the insurance premiums estimated to be at $3,850,000 for fiscal year 2017 shall be used for the provision of the following services to residents of the unincorporated area of the county. The fire department operating budget standing at $8,258,373. The estimated proceeds from tax on insurance premiums $3,850,000, leaving a balance of funding from other sources of $4,408,373. Section 6, the budget documents and attachments entitled Fiscal Year 2017 Adopted Budget for Carroll County, Georgia shall be maintained on file in the office of the Board of Commissioners and available for public inspection. Section 7, a copy of the final budget adopted shall be transmitted to the grand jury of the Superior Court of Carroll County. Section 8, all ordinances, resolutions, or other acts or parts thereof in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 9, this resolution and ordinance shall be effected on the date of its approval by the Board of Commissioners.
Make a motion to approve a resolution for the 2016-2017 budget for Carroll County. Might add, you've been spending a lot of time with our attorney there. Second. That may be the longest one I've heard.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion from the board? And seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Don. Next item on the agenda is 8-4 insurance renewal by J. Smith Lanier Company. Consideration of proposal for the liability and risk management insurance, as I explained in the work session. The expiring premium from One Beacon we got, the One Beacon renewal came in at about a $7,500 discount. However, State National did come in, a very good company. They came in with a reduction of roughly just a tad bit over $45,000. It is a recommendation from our insurance carrier to go with our broker to go with them, and is my recommendation to the board tonight. I'll make the motion to go with State National on behalf of J. Smith Lanier as the broker.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. We need
Second.
that'll be a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 8.5 FEMA grant. We'll call on Chief Scott Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board of the Commissioners. What I'd like you to do is to take consideration of accepting the Assistance to Firefighters grant from the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA. That grant will be in the amount of $264,000 with a 10% match of $26,400 for a total amount of $290,400. The purpose of that grant will be to purchase protective clothing for firefighters.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none from the board, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Next item is, we'll move into item, section number 9, the business session. The hazard mitigation plan. I think Tim Padgett was here and explains that. Are you gonna?
I'll answer any questions, Chairman.
Okay, if you have any questions for it.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Thank you.
All those opposed? Thank you. Next items, 9.2 through 7, we'll be calling for board appointments. The first board appointment, 9.2, is appointment from the library board. We do have Linda Fulford that has agreed to serve again.
I make a motion to accept Linda Fulford for another term. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Item 9.3 is appointment to Pathway Center, and to my knowledge, unless anybody has one tonight, do you? The court system has not provided us one. We're gonna try getting that done by the next meeting. I'll make a motion to table item 9.3 for the appointment to the Pathway Center. We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. That is fine. Thank you, Commissioner North. Next item is 9.4, appointment to Region 6. Consideration for Region 6 Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities Regional Planning Board. Tommy Allen has agreed to serve again.
Make a motion to accept Tommy Allen for another term.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Next item is 9.5, appointments to the EMS Council. Shane Bell and Chief Jimmy Bearden have agreed to serve again.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? 9.6, appointment to Family and Children's Service. We have a recommendation of Latasha Vaughn.
That was my nomination. I thought we'd have, I guess, sent a resume. The Family and Children's Services has those new categories. We're supposed to, as people, terms don't fire. So she falls in the category of having been a child of the welfare system.
Second. Make a motion, second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Item 9.7 is the Civil Service Board. By word of announcement, the employees do vote. Donna Lackey has been nominated and has agreed to serve on that, so that's just word of recognition. The one who actually we're voting on, Bart Smith, has been recommended from the elected officials to serve and has agreed to serve. That is the recommendation.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Now we're moving to the zoning session. We'll call on Mr. Artagas Newell, zoning administrator.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just very quickly before I get into the item that we have tonight, I'll go over the items for consideration. Number one, whether the zoning proposal will permit a use that is suitable in view of the use and development of adjacent and nearby property. Whether the zoning proposal will adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby property. Whether the property to be affected by the zoning proposal has a reasonable economic use as currently zoned. Whether the zoning proposal will result in a use which will or could cause an excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, or schools. Whether the zoning proposal is in conformity with the policy and intent of the land use plan, and whether there are other existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property which give supporting grounds for either approval or disapproval of the zoning proposal. Mr. Chairman, we have one request tonight. This is application C-16-0501 for Jimmy Godby, requesting a conditional use permit and variance to divide two 1-acre parcels with existing houses in an agricultural district at 1451 and 1503 Whooping Creek Church Road. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Artagas. We'll go over the policies and procedures real quick for governing the conduct of zoning hearings. The applicant or proponent of the zoning applicant will have 10 minutes to present data, evidence, or opinion. Those opposed will be allowed the same 10 minutes. Each side will have 5 minutes in rebuttal if needed. Upon that, we will call on the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's good to see y'all tonight. I am asking for your approval on 1503 Hooping Creek Church Road. It was my mom's house. It's next door to my house. And our friends Steve and Kathy Harding, from my mom's friends from church and ours, Steve's retired from Southwire recently, and they want to get into a ranch 1-story house. And of course, they're familiar with my mom's house. And 1451 is my granddad's original home place. And I'm an only child, so I inherited that after my mom passed away about 5 years ago. And we like to have good neighbors, and that would be great neighbors for us. They don't want much yard. They want to travel, so they want a small piece of land. And our property surrounds both of these parcels, and we'd like to hold on to the old family farm as much as we can. And the 1451, I'd like to sell it to my company, pull some cash out of my company, work on my house, and use it for storage. I've been using it for storage for my company for an extended period of time, so it's a good time to sell it to the company. So I'd appreciate your approval of that request.
Thank you, Mr. Godby.
Thank you.
We'll ask, is anyone else here supporting this? Just you, the applicant?
Yes, sir, just me.
I'll ask for the zoning procedure for tonight. Is there any opposition to item 10.1 under the zoning session? We'll ask a second time. Is there any opposition to conditional use permit 10.1? Seeing none. Any questions from the board? If not, we'll look for a motion.
Make a motion to, I'm sorry.
I think we need to give him an opportunity to rebut himself.
I think he likes being on that side.
He can do it, and we may be here for a while, so.
Second, yes.
Just teasing, Jimmy. I was yielding to the commission from the 5th District.
You were yielding. We're looking for a motion from the board.
Oh, George made it, I seconded.
Okay.
We have a motion. We have a formal second then. Yeah. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you very much. I appreciate your service to our